Hello YouTube, I'm Jack Clark, the Musketeer, coming to you with another video. How are you? So of course I come to you with new surroundings because my brother has moved out. It's really nice in here. Say hi.
Hi.
He's also playing Kingdom Hearts, so if you hear anything in the background, that'll be the reason why. So today I'm going to be talking about the Eye of Timaeus, which of course is coming out in the Dragons of Legend set, and of course the organisation, thank you, in their infinite glory, have given us a translation as to what the effects could be. Now, of course, this is all from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card website, the Japanese version anyway, and of course the effect it has given us is paraphrased slightly, so it's not the exact text, but it is a conversational version of it, so it's in conversational speak. So it is paraphrased, it is tentative, the card hasn't been announced yet, and the card text is still not being revealed. However, we do have pretty much the entire effect, so I'm going to be telling you what it is, telling you what I think about it, and of course, links in the description will show you the sources and all the information. Plus, I would like you to tell me what you think about the cards in the comments down below. So let's get straight to it with the Eye of Timaeus, and I'm uber excited because it's going to be a normal spell card with this effect. By sending a Dark Magician monster from your side of the field to the graveyard, you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your fusion deck, that will be a mistranslation from extra deck, that lists that monster as a fusion material. And this card has a rule that always treats it as Legendary Dragon Timaeus. Now, there are a couple of things from this text that I can get. Now, of course, it's originally Japanese, translated in English, so tenses and all sorts of stuff like that may mean mistranslations will occur. However, from the information that we currently have, I have a couple of assumptions I can make. The first off is the clause that says this has a rule that always treats it as Legendary Dragon Timaeus. Now, the reason for that will be because the other legendary dragons, the Fang of Critias and the Claw of Hermes, are also going to have this clause. This will be because these cards don't have anything in their card names that actually tie them together as an archetype, because they are the legendary dragons, but their actual card effects, their actual card names even, don't have that in their card names. So there's no real way that any support can support them as a group unless they have something like that. But of course, they put this line of text into the card effect, which means that it can be, because this is a new thing that Konami are putting into effect, like the Arch-themed cards. Like, instead of renaming Summon Skull, they literally put it in the text that says this card's always treated as an Arch-themed card. And the same applies to, and more appropriately applies to Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, which is technically a Phantom Beast monster, but because the card was so iconic in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, they decided to keep the name and just have in the text that it is always treated as a Phantom Beast monster. And this is going to be a similar thing. But the most important thing about this clause is the fact that it implies that there's going to be support that will support all three dragons, or apply to all three dragons, as an archetype, which is very good. Now, in the anime, of course, there was a card called Legend of Heart, which was a card that turned the dragons and unleashed them into their pure knight forms, which is really quite cool. And it could just mean that it's going to be an easier way of writing that out. But in fact, if it's just for one card, though, they could just choose one Fang of Critias, one Claw of Hermes, and one Eye of Timaeus, and then do their knight thing. But this implies there are going to be more cards to support them. So there may be legendary dragon support cards which aren't just in the anime. Maybe they're going to be some pure, world-exclusive cards that are going to support the legendary dragons. Maybe to make them competitive. I don't know. This is all purely conjecture, but this line of text does imply that, which I'm quite excited for. The next one is, of course, the text says, by sending a Dark Magician monster from your side of the field to the graveyard. Of course, Dark Magician monster denoting the Dark Magician itself, or Dark Magician girl, because she, of course, was known to fuse with the Eye of Timaeus as well. So you got the Dark Magician, Dark Magician girl, the Dragon Knight, which is awesome and looks rather lovely, I got to say. But it also says this: you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your fusion deck that lists that monster as a fusion material. Now, there's one thing I get from that is the fusion material part. Because when it comes to extra deck summons, now they were referred to as fusion material monsters, synchro material monsters, and Xyz material. Not Xyz material monsters, because it denotes that other cards can be attached to an Xyz monster as Xyz material. Xyz Reborn is an example of that. So you can attach it as an Xyz material, because it means that cards that aren't monsters can be attached. However, this card is worded in the same way. From now till now, actually, fusion materials have never been referred to as just fusion materials. They've been referred as fusion material monsters, because that would imply, if it was just fusion material, that would imply that you could fuse with stuff that isn't monsters, which is what the Fang of Critias and the Claw of Hermes were most notable for doing. They fused with equip spells and trap cards, which is what I think this implies, because it says it lists that monster as a fusion material. I think that when they release the information for the Fang of Critias and or the Claw of Hermes, we are going to see our first fusion monsters that will have a non-monster be listed as a fusion material, and henceforth are going to be referred to as fusion materials, not fusion material monsters, which is what I think this implies. Now, of course, people will say in the comments, it's actually technically not true, there was a card like Rayback as a promo and no one released it. Yeah. But this, I think, is going to imply that, which I'm uber excited for. In addition to the card itself, sending a Dark Magician monster from your side of the field to the graveyard to fusion summon a fusion monster, list that monster as a fusion material. You don't have to just do it with the legendary dragon fusions. This also applies to the Dark Magician's actual fusions, like the Dark Paladin, Dark Flare Knight. This basically turns into Neo-Spacian Extent for the Dark Magician. So the Dark Magician, of course, and its fusions even, were always very notable because they just don't work anymore. Because you have to basically use the Dark Magician plus a fusion material plus a way to fuse them. So that's 3 cards to summon once. That's a -2, and that sucks. However, the Eye of Timaeus cuts out the middleman. This takes the place of polymerization and gets rid of one of the fusion materials. This allows you to just fusion summon a monster. It fusion summons it as well, so it means you can summon it back after it leaves the graveyard as well. This basically turns into Neo-Spacian Extent, which means that the fusions are no longer a -2, but a -1. And as much as it does sound like a -1 would be sucky, I do assume that the fusion monsters that are going to be announced in this set and will be released in this set are going to have really good and reverse nerfed effects, because the Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, for example, had an effect that meant it could beat any monster in battle, similar to Catasta, as long as you discarded a card, I think. But that actually is pretty lackluster by today's standard. And of course, we did see some pictures of the Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, but it was all blurry. But the text was not obscured. However, from the amount of text that was on the card, you would assume that maybe they've added a little bit more to it, which is what I'm assuming they're going to do for Amulet Dragon and the rest of the fusions. So it's very exciting and very interesting, because I think they're going to bring them up to somewhat, maybe more competitive standards. They're going to make them a bit better, and so they can actually fit in, like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Take something like from the beginnings of Yu-Gi-Oh! And bring it to the modern day, bring it to the Zial era, because they were releasing loads of Zial cards in this, and of course they can't have just the Dark Magician Girl with her lackluster Catastrophe effect when they're releasing cards, which, okay, this has got 1,000,000 attack points. Yeah, because that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Power Creepers exists. So I think they're going to bring them up to more standards. But it also means this card has a little bit more in terms of versatility, because you don't just have to summon the legendary dragon cards. You can just summon, okay, got Dark Magician on the field. Oh, I just drew Eye of Timaeus. Dark Paladin. Hieratic Rulers, beware. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm uber excited for these cards, and as such, I've talked for 8 minutes. So in the comments down below, or as a video response, which are no video responses, I keep on forgetting that, but do tell me in the comments down below what you think about this information, of course. Links in the description to all the information and all of the sources. That's pretty much it. I'm Jack Clark, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Musketeer. More videos coming to you, but until then, goodbye. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye!